God is begging you. You are chosen to see this rare miracle tonight before 9 p.m. Don't tell this anyone. It will happen in 2 minutes. Open it urgently. This is not a small moment that can be ignored, because heaven itself has leaned close to your life, and the heart of God is reaching toward you with urgency that carries deep love and purpose. Do not scroll away from this sacred invitation, because something precious is being prepared for you, something that can shift your sorrow into peace and your waiting into fulfillment. Type Amen if you believe. The Lord is not speaking out of fear or anger, but out of longing and compassion, because He sees the quiet battles you have fought and the silent tears that no one else noticed. If your heart senses even a small stirring of faith rising within you, take a step of trust right now and press like on this video as a simple act of agreement with what God is about to release into your life. The Father is not begging because He is weak, but because His love for you is so deep that He refuses to let you miss the blessing prepared for this very hour. God is begging you because He has watched you stand in the middle of confusion while still whispering prayers under your breath, and He knows how close you are to a breakthrough that will surprise even you. You are chosen to see this rare miracle tonight before 9 p.m., not because you are perfect, but because you are loved beyond measure and marked by grace since the day you were born. The miracle is rare because it carries timing that has been carefully arranged, like a gift wrapped in heaven and scheduled to arrive at the exact second your heart is ready to receive it. Don't tell this anyone, because some blessings are too delicate to expose to doubt before they bloom into reality. There are moments when silence protects what faith is nurturing, and tonight is one of those sacred moments where trust must remain between you and God alone. It will happen in 2 minutes, not because God is rushed, but because He has already been preparing this for a long time, and the final piece is about to fall into place in a way that feels sudden yet deeply planned. Those 2 minutes represent a shift from waiting to witnessing, from praying to praising, from hoping to holding in your hands what you once feared would never come. Open it urgently, because hesitation can cause you to overlook the gentle knock of grace when it arrives quietly at your door. This is about spiritual alertness, about being awake in heart and mind so that when God moves, you are not distracted by doubt or buried under discouragement. The urgency is filled with tenderness, because the Father is guiding you carefully into a moment that will strengthen your faith for years to come. There was a season when you felt invisible, as though your prayers rose into the sky and disappeared without response, yet God was collecting every word and storing every tear as evidence of your trust. You walked through days that seemed ordinary and nights that felt heavy, carrying burdens that few people understood, yet still you held on to the name of Jesus with quiet devotion. Heaven saw your persistence when others saw only your silence, and now that faith is about to bloom into something visible and undeniable. This rare miracle is not random, and it is not a coincidence that you are reading these words at this exact time. It is the result of seeds planted in prayer, watered by patience, and protected by divine timing that has never failed. The Lord is asking you to guard this moment closely, because when God whispers something sacred, it deserves a space free from noise and criticism. There are people who love you, yet they may not understand what God is doing, and their confusion could unintentionally weaken your expectation. Silence, in this case, is not secrecy born of fear, but wisdom born of trust, because some promises grow stronger in the quiet. As the clock moves closer to 9 p.m., allow your heart to rest in calm anticipation instead of restless anxiety, because miracles respond to faith more than fear. The Holy Spirit is already arranging circumstances, softening hearts, shifting conversations, and aligning details that you cannot yet see. You may wonder why God would use such urgent language, yet the urgency comes from love that refuses to delay what can heal you tonight. The Father knows how long you have carried certain worries, how long you have waited for a sign that He is still working in your life. He is not distant from your struggles, and He has never overlooked your longing for peace and restoration. Tonight before 9 p.m. marks a turning point that has been circled in heaven's calendar long before you realized it existed. This miracle may not look exactly as you imagined, yet it will feel unmistakably like God, filled with clarity, comfort, and confirmation. Type 2323 if you agree. Imagine a door that has remained closed for months, perhaps even years, suddenly opening with gentle ease, not through force but through favor that cannot be explained by human effort alone. That is the kind of rare miracle being spoken over your life tonight, something that shifts the atmosphere around you and brings light into places that once felt dim. It may come through a phone call, a message, a change in someone's heart, or a peace that settles inside you and silences old fears. However it arrives, it will carry the unmistakable fingerprint of God's love and Jesus' compassion working together on your behalf. When it happens, you will sense that this was not luck or coincidence, but a divine response to faith that refused to give up. Open it urgently does not only mean opening a physical thing, but opening your heart, your thoughts, and your expectations to what God is ready to do in such a short span of time. Sometimes the greatest miracles are missed because hearts are closed by disappointment, yet tonight you are being invited to stay open, soft, and trusting. What if wealth was never about luck, but a hidden brain signal buried in CIA files? This frequency is opening doors, attracting opportunities, and changing lives quickly. Thousands are already using it to attract wealth like never before. Click the link in the description and comments now and activate the money-attracting brain wave today. Angels have not been idle, and the Spirit of God has been hovering gently over your circumstances, arranging small pieces that will suddenly fit together in a way that feels both surprising and deeply personal. The Father's heart is steady and focused on you, because this miracle is not general or distant, but designed specifically for your situation, your need, and your season. What is about to unfold carries the warmth of divine compassion, like a soft light breaking through a long stretch of darkness. When God says you are chosen to see this rare miracle tonight, it means you have been marked by grace in a way that sets you apart for this moment. Chosen does not mean better than anyone else, but deeply known and intentionally loved, because the Lord has studied every detail of your life and understands exactly what will strengthen your faith right now. There were times when you felt overlooked and even forgotten, yet heaven never lost sight of you, and the timing of this miracle proves that nothing about your journey has been random. The waiting season was not wasted, because it built patience inside you and carved out a deeper hunger for God's presence. Now that hunger is about to be met with an answer that carries both relief and renewal. As the clock inches closer to 9 p.m., allow your heart to settle into trust instead of tension, because miracles flourish in an atmosphere of calm faith rather than anxious striving. You do not need to force anything or try to create the outcome yourself, because the Lord has already prepared the path in front of you. The instruction to open it urgently speaks about readiness, about being spiritually awake and attentive when God gently places something in your hands. Sometimes the miracle arrives quietly, almost softly, yet it carries power that reshapes your perspective and restores hope that had grown thin. This moment is not meant to overwhelm you, but to reassure you that Jesus is actively involved in your life in ways that go beyond what you have understood until now. There is a tenderness in the way God is approaching you tonight, almost as though a loving father is kneeling beside his child, encouraging them to look up and see what has been prepared. The begging described earlier was not desperation born of weakness, but passion born of love, because the Lord longs for you to step fully into the blessing that has been set aside for this hour. He has watched you carry silent disappointments without complaining, and he has seen the courage it took to keep believing when evidence seemed absent. That quiet endurance has not gone unnoticed, and it has become the soil in which this rare miracle is about to bloom. In just a short span of time, what once felt delayed will suddenly feel divinely arranged. You may notice a gentle shift inside your spirit even before anything outward changes, because miracles often begin within the heart before they manifest in visible ways. Peace might settle over you like a warm blanket, replacing the restless thoughts that have followed you for days. Clarity may rise where confusion once lingered, guiding you toward a decision or an action that feels guided rather than forced. The Lord is not only interested in changing your situation, but in strengthening your inner world so that you can sustain the blessing when it arrives. This is not a temporary spark meant to fade quickly, but a divine touch designed to carry you forward with renewed confidence in God's faithfulness. Type 1111 if you trust in God. There is wisdom in keeping this sacred expectation quiet, because some experiences are meant to unfold without the pressure of outside opinions. When God tells you not to tell this anyone, He is protecting the tenderness of this miracle, allowing it to take shape without being exposed to doubt or unnecessary questions. Silence can create space for faith to grow deeper roots, and tonight your focus needs to remain steady and centered on what the Lord is doing. You do not owe explanations to anyone while God is writing a new chapter in your story. In the quiet of your own heart, you can nurture anticipation without distraction, knowing that heaven's timing is precise and purposeful. The promise that it will happen in 2 minutes carries a sense of suddenness that may feel almost unbelievable, yet God often chooses swift moments to display His power. There are seasons of long preparation followed by brief seconds of transformation, where everything shifts in a way that could not have been predicted. Those 2 minutes symbolize a crossing point, where what was once hoped for begins to take tangible form. It might be a notification, a realization, a conversation, or even a deep inner release that breaks chains you have carried for far too long. However it comes, you will sense that the hand of Jesus has gently intervened in your timeline. The rare nature of this miracle means it is not common or routine, but crafted with intention and infused with personal meaning. It may answer a prayer you whispered months ago and almost forgot, or it may address a concern you have carried quietly without telling anyone. God's love is attentive, and He remembers even the smallest desires that were surrendered to Him in trust. Tonight's blessing is not about spectacle or outward display, but about restoration, healing, and confirmation that you are not walking this life alone. The presence of Christ is closer than ever, wrapping around your circumstances with quiet authority and grace. A 7-second at-home ritual, scientifically proven by neuroscience labs and hidden for decades in CIA files, is now public, and people are seeing money flow into their lives. Scientists say it activates a brain pathway linked to abundance. Click the link in the comments below before this knowledge disappears again. As you continue waiting for the appointed moment, guard your thoughts carefully, allowing faith to remain stronger than fear. Doubt may try to whisper that nothing unusual will happen, yet faith reminds you that God's ways often exceed human expectation. You are not foolish for believing in divine intervention, because your trust is rooted in a relationship with a living Savior who still moves in powerful ways. Let gratitude begin to rise even before you see the outcome, because gratitude prepares the heart to receive more fully. The atmosphere around you is shifting gently, almost imperceptibly, yet undeniably. Type yes to affirm. When the miracle unfolds, it will carry a sense of rightness that settles deeply within you, like a missing piece finally fitting into place. You will realize that the urging to open urgently was not about panic, but about alignment, about stepping into the exact second when heaven's answer intersects with your earthly reality. The compassion of God will feel tangible, and the love of Jesus will seem more personal than ever before. This experience is meant to anchor your faith for the days ahead, reminding you that even when life feels uncertain, divine timing is never off schedule. Tonight before 9 p.m. stands as a marker in your journey, a reminder that you were chosen to witness something rare and beautiful. Rest in the knowledge that God's intentions toward you are good, steady, and filled with hope, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. The miracle may be swift, but its impact will linger, strengthening your trust and softening your heart in ways that ripple into the future. You are not forgotten, not overlooked, and not alone in this season, because heaven has leaned close to your life with focused attention. You may not see flashes of light or hear loud sounds, yet heaven often moves in gentle ways that carry extraordinary impact. The miracle prepared for you is wrapped in divine intention, shaped by compassion, and sealed with the love of Jesus that never fails. What seemed distant earlier in the day is now drawing closer, and your heart can sense that something meaningful is unfolding. God's begging was a cry of love from a father who refuses to let his child miss a blessing prepared with such care and precision. He knows how easily distraction, doubt, or fatigue can cause you to overlook sacred moments, so he spoke urgently to awaken your attention and stir your faith. This rare miracle is not merely about changing an outward situation, but about touching your inner world in a way that heals wounds and restores courage. You have carried burdens quietly, sometimes smiling while your heart felt heavy, yet heaven has recorded every struggle and every silent prayer. Tonight is not random, because the Lord has selected this hour as a turning point that will strengthen your trust and renew your hope. There is something beautiful about divine timing, because it arrives exactly when your heart is tender enough to recognize it and strong enough to receive it. You may have wondered why certain answers seem delayed, yet delay was never denial, and God was shaping circumstances behind the scenes. The miracle that happens in what feels like 2 minutes has often been prepared over months or even years, woven together through conversations, opportunities, and unseen protection. When it manifests, it may feel sudden, yet it will also feel deeply fitting, as though it was always meant to happen now. That is the nature of God's work, steady and intentional, moving quietly until the appointed second arrives. The instruction to open urgently continues to echo, reminding you that readiness is a posture of faith rather than fear. Opening your heart means laying down old disappointments and allowing fresh expectation to take root. Opening your thoughts means refusing to assume that nothing will change, and instead believing that the Lord is capable of doing something rare and unexpected. There are moments when God's grace knocks softly, and if you are distracted by doubt, you might miss the sound. Tonight you are being invited to stay spiritually alert, grounded in calm trust, so that when the miracle arrives, you recognize it immediately and embrace it fully. This rare miracle might not look dramatic in the eyes of others, yet to you it will feel deeply personal and transformative. It could be the healing of a relationship that once felt broken beyond repair, or a shift in your own heart that releases resentment and replaces it with peace. It might come as clarity regarding a decision that has weighed heavily on your mind, or as a message that confirms what you have been praying about in secret. Whatever form it takes, it will carry the unmistakable fingerprint of divine love and careful orchestration. Jesus is not distant from your life, and his compassion is active, attentive, and precise. As the minutes move steadily toward 9 p.m., breathe deeply and let gratitude rise within you, because gratitude prepares the soul to receive with humility and joy. You do not need to force the outcome or measure the seconds anxiously, because heaven's clock is already synchronized with your life. God has not miscalculated the timing, and he has not overlooked any detail that matters to you. There is peace available to you right now, even before the miracle becomes visible, because peace is the first sign that something holy is near. Allow that peace to settle gently over your thoughts like a warm light that quiets every restless fear. Type 1212 if you walk by faith. There is also protection surrounding this moment, because when God says not to tell anyone, he is shielding what is sacred from unnecessary noise. Faith is delicate in its early stages, and sometimes the opinions of others can unintentionally weaken expectation. The Lord is teaching you the power of quiet trust, where belief grows stronger without constant explanation or defense. In this silence, your relationship with God becomes more intimate, because it is built on personal experience rather than public display. This miracle is not meant to impress crowds, but to confirm to you that you are deeply seen and dearly loved. A classified 7-second morning ritual, once buried in CIA files, is quietly transforming financial lives. In under 30 seconds, it helps shift the mind from scarcity to wealth, with many reporting surprise income and peace. Click the link in the comments below before the page is removed. Consider how many times you nearly gave up during difficult seasons, yet something within you continued to whisper the name of Jesus with quiet persistence. That whisper was not weakness, but strength rooted in faith that refused to disappear. The Lord has treasured that persistence, and tonight he is responding in a way that validates every tear and every act of patience. This rare miracle is both reward and reassurance, a sign that heaven responds to humble trust. When it unfolds, it will remind you that even in the waiting, God was working steadily on your behalf. Type 1919 to receive miracles. When the promised 2 minutes arrive, you may feel a sudden clarity or see a tangible sign that shifts your understanding. It might be a simple moment that others would overlook, yet to you it will feel significant and filled with meaning. In that instant, you will realize that the begging of God was not exaggeration, but a heartfelt plea for you to remain attentive to his loving intervention. The compassion of Christ will feel close, almost tangible, wrapping around your circumstances with gentle authority. You will sense that something has changed, not only outside you, but within you as well. After the miracle unfolds, take a quiet moment to reflect and allow gratitude to deepen, because reflection anchors the experience firmly in your heart. This is not an isolated event meant to fade quickly, but a marker in your journey that strengthens your confidence in divine faithfulness. The Lord desires that this moment become a foundation for future trust, reminding you that He moves even when life feels uncertain. You were chosen not to boast, but to believe more boldly and love more freely because you have witnessed His hand at work. Tonight before 9 p.m. becomes a chapter in your story that you will remember whenever doubt tries to return. Remain gentle with yourself as this hour passes, because spiritual experiences often unfold softly rather than dramatically. The miracle may continue to reveal layers of meaning in the days ahead, showing you that God's intervention reaches further than you initially realized. Trust that whatever happens is precisely what you need in this season, shaped perfectly by a Father who understands you completely. Some miracles arrive like a sudden sunrise, while others begin like a soft glow that gradually fills the room with light, and both carry the same divine fingerprint. You may still be processing what you sensed or experienced, yet the peace resting on your heart is evidence that heaven has touched your situation. This touch is not temporary excitement, but a steady reassurance that the Lord is actively involved in your journey. There are moments when God moves in ways that are subtle yet deeply powerful, because transformation does not always need noise to be real. Perhaps what changed tonight was not a circumstance, but your perspective, and that shift alone can redirect the path of your future. When fear loosens its grip and hope takes its place, a miracle has already begun to work beneath the surface. Jesus often works first in the hidden places of the heart, strengthening what is fragile before revealing what is visible. That is why the instruction to open urgently was so important, because readiness of heart allows divine grace to settle fully and without resistance. You may look back at the urgency in the earlier words and now understand that it was an invitation to alignment rather than alarm. God was drawing your attention away from distraction and toward expectation, preparing you to recognize His movement. Sometimes heaven whispers urgently because it knows how easily human minds drift into doubt or routine. The rare nature of this miracle does not always mean dramatic display, but meaningful precision, because it touches exactly what needed healing or confirmation. In that precision, you discover that the Lord's love is personal and attentive rather than distant and general. There is also a deeper lesson woven into this sacred hour, one that speaks about trust that grows through experience rather than theory. You were asked to remain quiet about what was promised, and that silence may have strengthened your faith in ways you did not expect. Holding something precious between you and God builds intimacy, because it reminds you that your relationship with Him is alive and direct. This miracle has not only addressed a need, but also deepened your awareness of divine presence walking beside you. The compassion of Christ feels closer now, not as a distant concept, but as a living reality woven into your everyday life. In the quiet after the appointed time, allow gratitude to expand within you rather than quickly moving on to the next concern. Gratitude anchors the miracle in your memory, making it a source of strength for future seasons. There will be days ahead that feel uncertain again, because life continues to move through valleys and mountaintops, yet this moment becomes a reminder that God intervenes at the right hour. You were chosen to witness this, not for pride, but for preparation, because faith built through experience becomes resilient and steady. When challenges arise again, you will remember how heaven once leaned close and acted with perfect timing. Type 666 if you trust Jesus. The miracle tonight may also carry a ripple effect that extends beyond what you initially recognize. A softened heart can lead to restored relationships, renewed courage can lead to new opportunities, and peace can influence decisions that shape your future. Divine intervention is rarely isolated, because when God touches one area of your life, it often begins healing others quietly and steadily. The rare miracle may be the beginning of a new chapter rather than the conclusion of a single event. In this way, the 2 minutes that felt so urgent become the doorway into a season of unfolding grace. You might also notice that your prayers feel different now, perhaps more confident and less burdened by desperation. When you experience God's faithfulness personally, your conversations with Him shift from pleading to trusting. The begging that once sounded dramatic now feels like passionate love that refused to let you miss what was prepared. You understand that God was not pressuring you, but protecting you from overlooking a sacred intersection in your timeline. That realization alone can transform how you respond to future whispers from heaven. Do you know, inside your brain is a small region linked to wealth and success, once buried in restricted research and hidden in CIA files. This newly revealed frequency is helping people replace stress with financial ease, and God has guided you here. Click the link in the description and comments to activate this hidden brain wave now. As you move forward from this night, guard the tenderness that has been cultivated within you. Miracles are seeds that continue to grow when nurtured with reflection, gratitude, and ongoing faith. Speak gently to your own heart when doubt tries to minimize what happened, because doubt often forgets what faith has witnessed. The peace you felt, the clarity you sensed, or the shift you experienced are not illusions, but signs of divine involvement. Jesus does not play with your emotions, and God does not stir expectation without intention. There may also be a deeper healing taking place beneath the surface, addressing wounds you have carried quietly for a long time. Sometimes a rare miracle is the restoration of self-worth that had been damaged by disappointment or rejection. When you realize that heaven paused to focus on your life at a specific hour, you begin to understand how valuable you truly are. This awareness changes how you see yourself and how you approach the future, because you no longer move from insecurity but from assurance. The love of God becomes the foundation beneath your steps rather than a distant hope. Type 2020 to claim miracles. The journey does not end here, because divine love continues to guide you beyond this sacred evening. What happened before 9 p.m. was a marker, yet the road ahead still holds new experiences, new lessons, and new blessings. The rare miracle serves as a reminder that timing matters, that obedience to gentle promptings matters, and that openness of heart matters deeply. You have seen that when God urges you to pay attention, it is always for your benefit and never for harm. This understanding strengthens your sensitivity to His voice, making you more aware of subtle guidance in the days to come. Carry this night with you like a quiet treasure that steadies your heart during uncertain moments. When circumstances seem slow or confusing again, remember how quickly things shifted when the appointed second arrived. Divine timing may feel mysterious, yet it is never careless or random. The Lord watches over your life with patience and precision, arranging moments that align perfectly with your readiness and need. The rare miracle tonight was not the end of His work, but a confirmation that He remains deeply involved in every chapter of your story. Rest now in the assurance that you are seen, chosen, and cherished by a loving Father whose compassion does not fade with passing hours. Jesus walks with you beyond this evening, carrying forward the peace and renewal that have been planted within your heart. Even if the miracle felt quiet rather than dramatic, its impact continues to ripple beneath the surface of your life like a steady current of grace. Some transformations do not shout, yet they change everything slowly and permanently from within. What heaven began in urgency now continues in calm assurance, guiding you into a new way of walking with trust. There is something profoundly beautiful about realizing that the Creator of the universe paused to align a specific hour with your personal story. That awareness alone carries healing, because it dissolves the old fear that you might be overlooked or forgotten. You are not drifting through life unnoticed, and you are not waiting alone in seasons that feel long and uncertain. The rare miracle was a reminder that timing in God's hands is intentional, and that even the seconds are woven carefully into a larger design. When you look back on this night in the future, you will recognize it as a turning point where your faith stepped out of theory and into experience. Sometimes the miracle is not only what happens outwardly, but what awakens inwardly, because your heart now carries a steadier confidence than it did before. You may sense that fear has loosened its grip, or that doubt no longer feels as loud as it once did. That internal shift is sacred, because it strengthens you for future challenges in ways that visible change alone cannot accomplish. Jesus often builds resilience within His children before revealing greater responsibilities and blessings. This rare moment may be preparing you for doors that will open in the days ahead, doors that require courage shaped by trust rather than anxiety. The instruction not to tell anyone may have felt unusual, yet it cultivated a private space between you and God that deepened intimacy. In that quiet, your faith had room to breathe without interference from outside opinions or skepticism. You learned that some experiences are meant to be cherished rather than broadcast, because their power lies in personal transformation rather than public display. That wisdom will serve you well in the future, reminding you that divine movements often begin in hidden places before becoming visible to others. Silence in this case was not isolation, but protection for something precious. As you continue reflecting on what has unfolded, consider how the urgency stirred you into attentiveness. God was teaching you how to respond quickly when His Spirit nudges your heart, because delayed obedience can sometimes cause missed opportunities. That lesson extends far beyond this single evening, shaping how you approach future whispers from heaven. When the Lord guides you gently toward a decision, a conversation, or an act of kindness, you will remember how important readiness can be. This awareness builds a rhythm of sensitivity that keeps your heart aligned with divine timing. Type yes to affirm. The miracle may also have revealed areas in your life that need ongoing surrender, because divine touch often exposes both blessing and growth. You might have felt peace settle where anxiety once dominated, yet you may also sense that certain habits of fear still need healing. This is not a sign of failure, but an invitation to continue walking closely with Jesus as He shapes your character. Rare miracles often begin processes rather than conclude them, guiding you step by step into fuller restoration. The compassion of God does not rush your transformation, but patiently nurtures it with steady love. Financial freedom is not about effort, but activating a hidden brain signal once buried in CIA files. Neuroscience shows this sound wave helps attract money and opportunity faster, and thousands are already seeing unexpected income. Click the link in the description and comments now to activate the ancient money wave today. In the days ahead, there may be moments when you question whether what happened was as significant as it first felt, yet faith does not depend on constant emotional intensity. The truth of divine intervention remains steady even when feelings fluctuate, because it is rooted in God's character rather than human mood. When doubt whispers, return to the peace you sensed and the clarity you received, because those were real gifts placed carefully into your spirit. Gratitude will help preserve that memory, strengthening it against the erosion of skepticism. Hold on to the awareness that you were chosen to witness something intentional and meaningful. Type 1212 if you walk by faith. The rare miracle before 9 p.m. may also symbolize a broader truth about your life, revealing that God's timing does not always align with your expectations, yet it is always perfect. There were seasons when you wanted answers immediately, yet heaven waited until the precise second when readiness and alignment converged. That pattern will likely repeat in future chapters, reminding you to trust even when understanding feels incomplete. Divine timing is an expression of wisdom, not delay for its own sake, and your experience tonight is proof that waiting can lead to beautiful fulfillment. This realization deepens patience and replaces frustration with calm confidence. You may also find that compassion toward others grows within you, because experiencing God's personal attention softens the heart. When you know what it feels like to be chosen and seen, you begin to extend that same gentleness toward those around you. The miracle therefore multiplies, not only blessing you but influencing how you love and serve others. This ripple effect is one of the hidden beauties of divine intervention, because grace rarely remains contained within one life. What touched you tonight may eventually become encouragement for someone else walking through their own season of waiting. As time continues moving forward, allow the memory of this sacred evening to anchor you during storms that may arise later. Life will still present challenges, yet you now carry evidence that God steps into specific hours with deliberate care. When fear tries to convince you that nothing will change, remember how swiftly the atmosphere shifted when heaven's appointed minute arrived. That memory becomes a shield against despair, reminding you that unseen preparation may already be unfolding even when nothing appears different. The rare miracle was not the last time God will act, but one of many moments where His love intersects your story. Rest in the steady awareness that you are not alone in any future season, because the same presence that moved before 9 p.m. continues walking beside you. Jesus remains close, attentive to your needs, and compassionate toward your struggles. The miracle may have unfolded gently, yet its impact continues to expand within you like a steady light that refuses to dim. You are not the same person you were before that evening, because experience has replaced uncertainty with living assurance. There is a sacred maturity that grows after witnessing divine timing firsthand, because you begin to understand that heaven is attentive to even the smallest details of your life. The fear of being forgotten gradually dissolves when you remember how precisely that hour aligned with your need. You now carry the knowledge that God does not speak urgently without purpose, and that His invitations are filled with protective love rather than pressure. This awareness changes the way you approach both prayer and patience, because you no longer assume that silence means absence. Instead, you recognize that preparation may be unfolding in unseen ways long before the appointed minute arrives. The rare miracle before 9 p.m. also teaches you that openness of heart matters more than outward readiness, because what God truly seeks is a willing spirit rather than perfect circumstances. You did not need to have every detail figured out in order to receive what was prepared, you only needed to remain attentive and trusting. That lesson becomes valuable as you move forward into new seasons, because life will present moments where clarity is incomplete yet faith must still respond. Jesus gently leads you through those spaces, reminding you that divine guidance often unfolds one step at a time. What began as urgency has now matured into steady companionship with the Spirit of God. Type Amen if you believe. There may be times in the coming weeks when you look back and realize that the miracle had layers you did not immediately recognize. Perhaps a conversation that seemed ordinary will later reveal deeper meaning, or a decision influenced by newfound peace will open doors you did not anticipate. Divine interventions often continue working long after the initial moment passes, quietly shaping outcomes that stretch beyond your present understanding. This unfolding nature of grace reveals how carefully God plans the path ahead of you. What felt like 2 urgent minutes may become the starting point of months filled with subtle yet significant blessing. The instruction not to tell anyone may now feel clearer, because the private nature of the experience allowed your faith to root itself deeply without external influence. Personal encounters with God create strength that public applause cannot replicate, because they are built on relationship rather than recognition. You now know what it feels like to respond when heaven whispers urgently, and that knowledge strengthens your spiritual sensitivity. When future promptings come, whether gentle or intense, you will recognize their tone more easily. The rare miracle has sharpened your discernment, guiding you toward closer alignment with divine timing. A 7-second brain wave ritual, once reserved for elite people and hidden in CIA files, is now public, and people call it the 30-second miracle. Scientists say it awakens a dormant brain center tied to wealth and blessings. Click the link in the comments below before it's deleted again from the internet. In moments when routine life feels heavy again, remember that sacred hours can exist even within ordinary days, because God's presence is not limited to dramatic events. The same Spirit that moved before 9 p.m. continues to breathe quietly through daily responsibilities, conversations, and decisions. You are learning that miracles are not always loud interruptions, but often tender confirmations that God remains near. This awareness transforms even simple moments into opportunities for gratitude. As you carry this perspective forward, you begin to see traces of grace in places you once overlooked. Type 2323 if you agree. The rare miracle may also inspire courage within you to trust God in areas you previously held back out of fear. Experiencing His precision firsthand gives you confidence to release control in other situations that once felt overwhelming. When you know that heaven can align specific hours with personal need, you become less anxious about circumstances that appear uncertain. Trust grows stronger with each remembered act of faithfulness, building resilience that sustains you during future challenges. The compassion of Christ becomes not only a comfort, but a steady anchor beneath shifting circumstances. It is also possible that the miracle was a restoration of hope that had quietly weakened over time, because prolonged waiting can sometimes erode expectation. That restoration may now influence how you speak about your future, how you approach opportunities, and how you interpret delays. Instead of assuming that unanswered prayers mean rejection, you can now view them as preparation for appointed timing. This shift in interpretation changes the emotional weight of waiting, replacing frustration with patient anticipation. The rare moment before 9 p.m. becomes a template that reshapes how you see all future delays. You may also notice that your gratitude feels more intentional, because you have witnessed how specific God's care can be. Gratitude becomes less generic and more personal, rooted in concrete memory rather than abstract belief. This personal gratitude strengthens your relationship with Jesus, because it grows from lived experience rather than distant hope. When you thank Him now, you do so with clearer awareness of His attentiveness. That clarity deepens intimacy, drawing you closer to the heart of a Father who listens carefully and responds with precision. The journey ahead will still contain valleys and questions, yet you now carry evidence that divine love intersects your life at critical moments. This evidence becomes a quiet shield against despair, because you know that unseen preparation may already be underway even when nothing appears to change. The rare miracle was not the final demonstration of God's involvement, but a reminder that His guidance continues beyond one sacred hour. As you walk forward, you do so with steadier footing, grounded in memory of grace. The urgency that once stirred you has matured into a calm confidence that shapes your daily faith. Let the awareness of being chosen remain tender within your heart, not as pride but as reassurance that your life matters deeply to heaven. You were not randomly selected, but lovingly considered, because God sees the unique path you travel and the specific needs you carry. When God declared that you were chosen to witness something rare before 9 p.m., He was reminding you that your life is not random, and that divine attention follows you through every season. That realization carries a quiet dignity, because it affirms that you are not simply surviving events, but being guided through them. The miracle was not only an answer to a need, but a revelation of how intimately heaven studies your path. There are times when faith feels fragile, especially after long stretches of waiting, yet witnessing precise timing strengthens that fragile place until it becomes firm. You may have once wondered whether your prayers were heard clearly, or whether they dissolved into silence without response. The experience of that appointed hour now stands as evidence that nothing spoken in sincerity is lost. God listens beyond words, beyond eloquence, and beyond outward display, because He reads the intention of your heart. That truth creates a deeper stability inside you, allowing you to approach future challenges with less fear and more quiet assurance. The rare miracle also reveals that obedience to gentle prompting carries unseen reward, because you chose to remain attentive rather than dismissive when urgency stirred your spirit. That attentiveness allowed you to step into alignment with divine timing instead of missing it through distraction. In the future, similar moments may arise, perhaps without dramatic language, yet carrying equal significance. Your heart has been trained to recognize that sometimes heaven whispers urgently not to frighten, but to focus your attention. This sensitivity becomes a precious gift, guiding you through choices and crossroads with greater clarity. Type 1919 to receive miracles. As you reflect on the instruction to keep the promise quiet, you may now see how powerful private faith can be. In a world that often seeks validation through public acknowledgement, you experienced the strength of a secret encounter with God. That secrecy protected your expectation from doubt and allowed trust to grow deeply without interference. There is a sacred intimacy in knowing that heaven shared something directly with you, something that did not need applause to be real. This intimacy strengthens your relationship with Jesus, because it is built on shared experience rather than external approval. You may also begin to recognize that the miracle extended beyond the immediate outcome, influencing how you respond to daily life. Small irritations may no longer feel as overwhelming, because you carry the memory of divine intervention that puts temporary discomfort into perspective. Gratitude may rise more easily, because you have seen how precise and personal God's care can be. Even when new challenges appear, they no longer feel like evidence of abandonment, but opportunities to trust again. The rare moment before 9 p.m. becomes a lens through which you interpret future events with greater hope. There is something profoundly healing about realizing that God not only knows your needs, but times His responses with exactness. That realization corrects the quiet fear that perhaps you must strive harder to earn attention. You were not chosen because of performance, but because of love, and that truth reshapes how you see both yourself and your future. When you understand that divine affection precedes effort, your heart rests more fully in grace. Rest produces confidence that striving cannot create, and confidence shapes how you walk forward. Type yes to affirm. A 7-second brainwave ritual uncovered from sealed records and hidden in CIA files is transforming financial lives. It activates a forgotten abundance channel in the brain, leading to new financial opportunities and cleared debts. Click the link in the comments below before it disappears. The 2 minutes that once sounded urgent now represent a powerful symbol of transition in your life. They remind you that long seasons of preparation can culminate in brief yet transformative moments. You may encounter similar transitions again, where years of quiet growth suddenly produce visible change. Because of this experience, you will not be surprised by sudden blessings, nor will you doubt that preparation has value. You understand now that God's work often unfolds slowly before appearing swiftly. That understanding brings patience to your present circumstances. In the coming days, there may be opportunities that require boldness, perhaps invitations to step into unfamiliar territory or to forgive where bitterness once lingered. The memory of being chosen to witness divine timing strengthens you for those steps, because you know that heaven guides beyond comfort zones. Courage grows from trust, and trust grows from experience, and you have experienced something deeply personal. When hesitation tries to hold you back, remember how attentive you were on that sacred evening, and how that attentiveness positioned you to receive. The same pattern can guide you into new beginnings. You may also find that compassion toward yourself increases, because divine attention reveals worth that was always present yet sometimes doubted. When you know that God arranged a specific hour around your life, insecurity loses much of its power. You begin to speak more gently to yourself, replacing harsh criticism with grace shaped by heavenly love. This inner gentleness influences how you treat others as well, because compassion multiplies when received deeply. The rare miracle therefore continues bearing fruit long after its initial moment. There will still be evenings when you wait again, perhaps for new answers or fresh direction, yet you will wait differently now. Waiting no longer feels like abandonment, but like preparation for another appointed hour. You understand that heaven does not rush without reason, and that silence does not equal absence. That understanding steadies your emotions and keeps anxiety from overwhelming your heart. The memory of precise timing becomes an anchor that holds you steady during uncertain tides. As you walk forward, carry the awareness that divine love remains active even when urgency fades into routine. The God who spoke so passionately about not missing that moment continues to care just as deeply about your ordinary days. His attention does not withdraw after a miracle, but remains constant and faithful. Jesus continues to guide you gently, shaping your path with patience and compassion. The rare miracle before 9 p.m. was not a final act, but a reminder of ongoing relationship. Let your heart remain open to future whispers, because divine timing will appear again in different forms. Some may be subtle nudges, while others may carry clear instruction, yet all will flow from the same loving source. You have learned that responsiveness invites blessing, and that trust creates alignment. This knowledge transforms your spiritual walk from passive observation into active participation with grace. The miracle was not only something you witnessed, but something that reshaped who you are becoming. There is a powerful shift that occurs when experience replaces uncertainty, because faith becomes anchored in memory rather than imagination. Before that evening, belief may have felt like hopeful expectation, yet now it carries personal testimony woven into its core. You know what it feels like when heaven aligns time with need, and that knowledge cannot be easily shaken. Even when future delays arise, they no longer feel like empty silence, because you understand that preparation often precedes manifestation. The rare miracle has redefined how you interpret waiting, turning it into sacred anticipation rather than anxious endurance. You may also recognize that the urgency once spoken over you was an expression of deep compassion, because God desired to awaken your attention at precisely the right moment. Sometimes love speaks firmly to prevent loss, and sometimes it whispers urgently to protect blessing. That night revealed that divine guidance can carry intensity without harm, purpose without pressure, and clarity without confusion. You responded with openness, and that response allowed grace to unfold freely. This lesson remains with you, teaching you to listen carefully when your spirit senses gentle insistence. Type 666 if you trust Jesus. The miracle before 9 p.m. may also have uncovered areas within your heart that were quietly longing for reassurance. Perhaps you carried hidden doubts about whether your life truly mattered in the larger design of things. The precise timing of that encounter answered those doubts without argument, simply by demonstrating personal attention. When heaven marks a specific hour around your life, it confirms that you are not overlooked in the crowd of humanity. This awareness changes how you move through daily routines, because even ordinary tasks now feel connected to a greater story. In the days that followed, you may have felt moments of renewed courage rising unexpectedly, guiding you to approach conversations or decisions with greater confidence. That courage is not self-generated, but rooted in the assurance that you are accompanied by divine presence. When you remember how swiftly circumstances shifted in that appointed window, hesitation begins to lose its grip. Trust grows steady rather than fragile, because it rests on lived reality rather than distant hope. The rare miracle has therefore strengthened both your inner resilience and your outward boldness. Type Amen if you believe. There is also a gentle invitation hidden within this journey, calling you to remain attentive to smaller miracles that occur each day. Not every divine movement arrives with urgent language or dramatic expectation, yet many blessings unfold quietly in routine moments. A softened heart, an unexpected kindness, a peaceful resolution to tension, all carry the same loving origin. Because you have experienced precise timing once, your eyes are now trained to notice grace more easily. This awareness cultivates gratitude that flows steadily rather than sporadically.